Josephine is adamant. Look, she's my daughter and nothing's going to happen to her. Now lower your voice. I don't want anybody to hear you, especially Josephine. That's too loud. That's scaring me. It's scaring me. Okay. Don't tell me what to do, woman, Clarence says in his most mayoral tone. She's going to have to hear and know that I'm her father one day, and you better make it soon. I told you to tell her before she turns 8. You may be married to Thomas, but Josephine is my blood, and don't you forget that. Millie silently counts to 10 to keep her temper in check. How could I forget? And why is it so important that I tell her anyway? You said you wanted to keep her a secret, so why do you want to tell her now? Thoughts about his father's sudden passing and the void it created in his heart when he was only 8 passed through Clarence's mind. He made a vow at his young age that he would always be close to his children, as his longing to see his father alive never stops. Although Josephine wasn't born under ideal circumstances, she is his blood, and he loves her dearly. He snaps at Millie. You don't need to know why. You just need to tell her. Do you understand me? Millie forgoes the subject. I have a customer to attend to right now. Why don't you sit down and let me get you a drink? Clarence walks back toward the armchair, which remained empty. Bring me my whiskey so I can get back home to my family. Millie rolls her eyes and gets his drink. She hands it to him, holding her hand out, palm facing up. In a patronizing tone, she remarks, "That's a quarter, please." Millie becomes nervous as Clarence locks eyes with her and takes his time reaching into his pocket. "Okay, woman, here's your quarter." He hands it to her, pauses for a moment, and pulls out a nickel. In the same patronizing tone he used, he quips, "And here's a nickel for your tip jar." "Thanks, Mayor. I'm going to serve my other customers because I am truly tired of serving you." She saunters away, switching provocatively, as she is fully aware that he is watching her every move. She struggles constantly to control the deep-seated yearning she has held for Clarence since meeting him 10 years ago. A twinge of guilt surfaces as she thinks back to the intimate moments they spent in secret. Thomas Sr. is barely out the door when Millie reminds Betty to go to her room. Betty is happy Josephine looks so uncomfortable and sneers as she leaves. Josephine is confused and doesn't understand why her mama wants to have a woman-to-woman talk with her. Maybe it's because she's having a birthday soon, but she'd rather not be a woman just yet because it just seems too confusing. Millie sits on the sofa and motions for Josephine to sit down beside her. She talks in an unusually soft tone, telling her how much she appreciates her help with the household, chores, and party customers. Josephine smiles when Millie mentions how much Josephine spoils her daddy by scratching his head and rubbing his scalp with grease. She also tells her that she is a blessing to Grandma Kirksey. Josephine doesn't know why her mom is saying these nice things to her, but she loves doing things for them, especially for her daddy. Millie laughs nervously, and Josephine becomes even more uncomfortable. "Move over a little closer to me, baby. I want you to listen to me real good because I need you to understand what I say." Josephine reluctantly moves closer, wishing with all her might that her mama would just tell her the darn secret and be done with it. Millie clears her throat. "Now, we're a family. You, me, your daddy, your brother and sister. You're our firstborn, came along 2 years after me and your daddy were married." Josephine beams, proud of the status as the oldest child. Her brief moment of happiness ends abruptly as Millie's pause seems endless. Josephine looks over at her mama and notices she is uneasy. "Now, Josephine, you know Mr. Clarence who comes to Mama's parties, right?" "Of course, Mama. He's so nice, and he's rich. He always brings me candy and money and buys me pretty dresses, too." Millie stands and paces around the sofa. Well, baby, I know you really love your daddy, and he loves you very much too. Now, Thomas will always be your daddy, but Mr. Clarence is your real father. Josephine doesn't understand this woman talk at all. Ma'am, she says in bewilderment. Wonder how that conversation ends. It's in the book. It's in the book. Anxious to see her, Dante stands outside 10 minutes before she is due to arrive. His double-breasted, six-button navy blue suit with a red and gold striped tie on top of the off-white shirt makes it very evident that he is a man of means. His navy blue and white wingtip shoes and navy fedora makes him appear distinguished. Josephine arrives and he smiles broadly when he opens the door of the taxi to assist her. Hello, Miss Sparkling One. You look divine this evening. Hello, Dante, my loyal subject, she says, her eyes twinkling. Well, my lady, if you would please accompany me to my car, which is across the street. He gestures to an expensive-looking car, but Josephine doesn't identify the 1949 silver Bentley. Does this meet my lady's approval for transportation to the destination? She feels she is on a cloud and dreaming while awake. Yes, my subject. The long circular driveway leads to a home so grand it could appear as a featured article in Better Homes and Gardens magazine. Josephine feels she's arrived on an Italian movie set. He opens the elaborate door to the mansion. Josephine peers in and jokingly asks if the maid and butler will be serving dinner. Yes, they will attend to you shortly, but I made them aware that I would escort you in personally. Pinch me, please. I know this isn't happening, she thinks. Classical music plays, seemingly out of nowhere. Dante fixes her gin and tonic and pours himself a glass of wine. A delicate crystal bell sits on a tray of alcoholic beverages to the far end of the table. He pours another drink and rings the bell. Within seconds, a man wearing a black suit and tie and a woman wearing a maid's outfit appear and serve them wedding soup, hot rolls, and a salad. Josephine deduces that they are, without a doubt, the maid and butler. She reaches underneath the table and pinches her hand to make sure she's not dreaming. She feels the pinch, which lets her know this is all really happening. Dante rings the bell again, and the service staff reappears with the main course. An excellent cook in her own right, she has made her fair share of spaghetti and lasagna, but has never tasted such flavorsome Italian food. Josephine has just eaten one of the most delicious meals in her life and didn't have to shop, cook, serve, or do dishes. Heaven must be like this, she says. Soft jazz now plays in the background of the elegantly furnished living room. Some enchanted evening fills the air, and Dante stands, takes Josephine's hand, and leads her to the center of the room. As they dance, she melts further into his arms. Dante has been attending to her every desire, treating her like royalty. She doesn't need to pinch herself. If this is a dream, she wants to stay asleep. Suzette, who's the third generation, is now 14 years old, and she's having a conversation with two of her older sisters. Suzette is relieved when Sheila comes into the kitchen. She is anxious to find out how things went last night at the Jamaica Club. Sheila saw Etta James, a rhythm and blues icon. Sheila, how was the Jamaica Club last night? Did you see Etta James? I certainly did. Not only did I see her, I sang with her. You sang with the famous At Last Etta James? Yes, Suzette. There's only one Etta James. Suzette feels like her big sister has already made it to the big time. Wow, I know that was a trip. Yes, it was. She invited me to hang out with her and the band members afterwards. They had food and plenty of alcohol. They were really fine, but Etta did a good job keeping them away from me. I think she wanted them all to herself. I can't blame her. They were fine. She probably did, but they may have wanted them some chocolate. That comment doesn't set too well with Sheila, who is sensitive about her browner complexion. Right. After all, she is high yellow like you. Suzette doesn't understand Sheila's gruffness. Sheila, why are you calling me high yellow? You said like there's something wrong with my color. Well, there's nothing wrong with you being high yellow, but I don't appreciate you calling me dark. Suzette is confused. I wasn't calling you dark. I just said you were chocolate. I think you're beautiful. Good Lord. Well, I think you're half white, half Italian, or whatever you are. Well, I think you're stupid, dark, and ugly, Sheila. Sheila shrills at the top of her voice. You little brat. You better quit talking to me like that. Suzette screams back. You better quit talking to me like that. I don't like being called yellow just like you don't like being called dark. I was only kidding about Etta James. I wasn't trying to insult you. Enough said. That's in the book, but I'm sure if you have it, you'll read it. Suzette, she is still the third generation. That doesn't change. But she and her mama Josephine, who's the second generation, they're having an interesting discussion. That's not true, Suzette. Dante isn't your father. George Edward Price is. Mama, it's okay to tell me. So many people tell me Dante is my father. And I'm sorry. Josephine is adamant. Suzette, George Edward Price is your father, not Dante. You tell your coworker and anybody else that says that to you that they're a pop-eyed lie and to quit saying that nonsense. You are not part Italian. Suzette pushes. I wish you would tell me. I won't be angry. I just need to know. Please tell me the truth. I'm 45 years old, and at this point in my life, I would just like to hear the truth from you. Josephine is dismissive. There's nothing to tell. George Edward Price is your real father. It's your turn to make a word, Suzette. Go ahead. Suzette is frustrated and knows she's reached yet another dead-end conversation on the subject. She feels like her mama is Peter, and the cock has crowed 3 times. She looks at her letters and smiles broadly, placing them on the board. Wow. God is all up in this game. I can't believe I have this word. S-E-C-R-E-T. Secret. Josephine quips, I wouldn't have believed that one if I didn't see it with my own eyes. I'll be back. I need to use the bathroom. She knows Suzette is upset about their conversation and tries to make her laugh. And don't look at my letters while I'm gone. George comes into the kitchen for a cup of coffee, and on a whim, Suzette decides to talk about Dante. Daddy, can we talk about something real quick? Sure, Suzette. I love you so much, and I'm thankful for everything you've done for me. You know the truth, and Mama won't tell me. Daddy, are you my biological father? George feels uncomfortable and unprepared to answer her and stammers. Suzette, I love all you kids, and I know that you are. Josephine re-enters the kitchen at that defining moment, and George stops mid-sentence. She asks what they're whispering about, and Suzette responds they are talking about his visit to the doctor. George fixes his coffee and looks relieved as he escapes from the kitchen and Suzette's question. He doesn't want to tell her. He feels that's for her mother to do since it was her decision to have an affair with Dante. Josephine sits down. Let me make my word. She takes her time looking at her letters and compares their scores. You're way ahead of me. I need to make it a high-scoring word to win. All of these letters, I can't believe the only word I can make is deceit. Deceit. Well, I'll be. You're going to win this game. Suzette doesn't verbalize it, but she disagrees, as she feels Josephine has already beaten her, and the words on the Scrabble board did what her mama couldn't do. They told the truth. Thank you for being so quiet.